My friends, I actually didn't write in the email, but I think going forward in the Wednesday daily email, I will make that effort to put in the psalm that we'll be learning. Not that it necessarily makes a difference, because I don't expect you to prepare. That's my job. You're welcome to prepare, but I'm certainly not expecting. But I thought it might be nice if we put in, so I didn't put in. I had told you here, but in any case, I was thinking that going forward, because I don't always know today when I'm going to be teaching next week, but I think the day before Wednesday, I would probably know which one. So yes, Ellen.
I know that this class is being recorded, and last week's when I was being, or the last time was being recorded. How do we find these recordings?
Not a problem. They're actually, so first of all, do you ever go to the Bayit website,
Yeah,
thebayit.org? So
but
if you go to, one second, no, you're right. I'm just want to tell you that if you go to thebayit.org, I mean, I can also send you, but I'm going to tell you where you navigate to. I think that's important for this class, although if anybody's watching the recording, they probably knew where it was. But if you go to thebayit.org and you go to resources, the very first one is called Torat Habayit, meaning the Torah of the Bayit, meaning the classes that we teach. So there's Rav Stephen, then there's Rav Avi, and then my Haman is all there, my Parshat Shavua in Hebrew, and older ones, but now we're going to put on, after today, Susanna, once it's recorded, Susanna. So you go to thebayit.org, you go to the menu called Resources, it's the first one. And then you have to scroll to find me.
okay.
So we have to figure out how to make that a little more streamlined, but it's pretty easy, and it's really posted pretty soon. Thank you for asking that question, Ellen, so now everybody else knows as well. Oh, Carl Rosenzweig, hello. Nice to see you. And, oh, we got somebody else. Welcome to Karen, also from Rochester. We got people all over the place here. Carol from Florida. Carol, I said hello to you, but you weren't there when I said hello. And Elaine. So we've got lots of people. All right.
Oh,
I didn't hear. Who said something? Sorry.
Judy.
Did somebody say something? Sharon? No?
Judy.
Judy Stiglitz? Did you say something, Judy? Judy, we see the side of your head. You may want to move the camera. It's a little weird. Judy Stiglitz, you may want to move your camera. Or not. Okay. Tehillim, Psalms. Let's go around, and I love it. Now, I understand this, though. You said you don't know any Psalms, but you know one. But if I wanted to ask what's your favorite, I'm going to mark that down, because I think that when I can, if there's extra time, I'd love to hear. Remember, we said Psalms are for so many reasons they're used. I'd love to hear what people think of Psalms, but all you get is one sentence, so think
Okay,
carefully.
can I say it?
Elaine, you want to go first?
I think it's 27, the one you say around Rosh Hashanah. Is it
That's the one that
27?
you like. Now,
As a-
we've taught that many, many times around Rosh Hashanah. So I don't think I will teach that here, because so many times we've taught it and maybe taught again, but I agree that's a beautiful one. Somebody else? Anybody else want to say what's your favorite psalm? Phyllis, just unmute.
I won't say what's my favorite, but I'm going to say one of the reasons I was so excited that you're doing this now, and that's because a friend of ours, about a month ago, had a baby who has leukemia, and so the whole community here, Canada, all of our friends, every day sign up to read another psalm,
Wow.
and it's been going on for a month.
So
And
it
so
brings people, so psalms bring people together.
Yeah.
And is it a different psalm each time, Phyllis?
Yep, it's just an order. So if somebody
Oh,
has
it's an
just
order.
done 23 and I click
Ah.
on, then I
Then
do
you
the
do the
next.
next one.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so we see that psalms are used in times of distress, times
Yeah.
of
So
stress, when we're calling out to
yeah.
God. Beautiful, beautiful. Somebody else want
So
to add? Karen, yeah.
yeah. So I'm saying Tehillim
Yeah.
for someone in my family, and so this more, and it also goes in order. It's a Tehillim group. So this
Cyclic.
morning, yeah, I said 69. Um, it's just the way David beseeches Hashem to please help, please help. And I feel, this person is doing better, but when I read it, I say, when things aren't going to go well, this is how I
Be so.
feel.
Yeah, yep. So it expresses what you're feeling inside.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Somebody, thank you. Somebody else want to add a thought? Either a favorite song. Well, we heard from Lance that your favorite is 150. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Okay, but we're not singing that now. That'll be another time.
Tzultzalay is onomatopoeia.
150. Yeah. Great, great. It's actually one of my favorites. Yes, Elaine, you wanted to add something?
30.
don't-
Pretty
Which-
common. Some 30.
30, not 130, but 30, okay?
30.
I will look at, I'm just adding it to my list in case we want to add it to the class.
Read
Go,
it.
sorry,
Zimra. Yeah.
in the Psuke de Zimra. Sue and then Helen.
Psalm 121.
Oh, so that's what we're doing today. Perfect timing. I was a plant. You were my plant, right? From now on, I'm going to put in the email which psalm it is, but you didn't know you weren't on last time. We said we'd do 121 first. Helen.
Okay, 148, and then also all the psalms that are in Hallel, and then the one that's called the Great Hallel. I forgot which one that was. The one that says,
Nishmat? Is that a
Uh,
psalm?
oh, it's the one that talks. Oh,
All right, you'll find it for another time.
I'll find it and then send it to you. It's the one that talks about Hashem rescuing the Israelites, and it's often
All right, you'll find it. You'll tell us next time. It's not urgent for today. Okay, so we have heard, thank you, everybody. Yeah, one more, Judy, and that's it. We'll move on. Yeah, Judy, you have to unmute, Judy. You have to unmute, not turn off your video, just unmute.
Can you hear
Yeah.
me now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Okay, I just sharing with the group every day. I participate just weekdays, only Mondays through Thursdays. I go online. The Orthodox Union has a daily Tehillim Chizuk call, and they also have a featured guest rabbi, all kinds of different rabbis giving a Dvar Torah, and they always do 5 prakim chapters of Tehillim. They start with Perek Chaf, number 20, and then do number 23. Which is
Yeah, we got it. Keep going. Yep.
Then they also do 121, and after 120, 130, and then 142.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. We're definitely going to be covering at least 3 of those. Thank you, Judy. That's beautiful. So I think we're going to move on now. Thank you, Judy. Come back on camera, Judy. We miss you.
Okay.
All right. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. So what we have seen actually is mostly that people know it during times of stress and distress. But also, as Helen mentioned, which I would say, and Lance, that it's also times of joy. Because when we recite Hallel is, we only say Hallel on Yom Ha'atzmaut, Yom Yerushalayim, all the biblical holidays except Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and on Chol HaMoed. When else do we cite? Chanukah. Those are times of thankfulness, of gratitude, of praise. So Tehillim, I think you could say, runs the gamut from distress. And then Karen said something that really touched me, which is, she said the words that I read, I think it's Karen, that the words I read today, they said what was in my heart. So I think maybe that is the best way to describe Tehillim, is that it is a way to express what is in your heart. And I often say, I read this somewhere, I don't remember who said it, but it really spoke to me, and I've used it as an introduction, often, lo aleinu, at a funeral, to say when words cannot express what is going on, we turn to Tehillim, because we don't know what to say. We don't have the words, or we don't feel we have the words. So we often turn to Tehillim, and that David HaMelech and others, I was at least taught that David HaMelech, the King David, wrote them all. Turns out that is not the view of Chazal, our sages. Their view is not that David wrote them all, but that he wrote a goodly number of them. Moshe may have written a couple of them, and other people who we don't even know who they are necessarily. But we know, like the sons of Korach, for example, whole other story. But there are a few that they wrote. Now, that's a whole story about how they wrote it. We're not going to talk about that today, unless maybe we decide to learn one of those Tehillim, but I'm not up to that because I got a whole list first. And we're starting today with 121. So I would like a sound bite from somebody Why am I learning 121 first? Just keep it short and tight so we can get into the actual Mizmor.
Refers to the stress and looking to Hashem.
A lot of them refer to stress and looking to Hashem. I don't disagree with you, but why do you think I chose 121? And I hope everybody has a copy of a Siddur. It's in the Siddur. It's in the Tanakh, obviously. If you have a copy anywhere of Tehillim, and if you please bring it with you every time. The same thing we did with Megillat Esther. It's just really nice to see everybody as we speak, and it is a readily accessible text. And if you want to bring it in English, that's fine as well. Why are we doing 121 first? Lance?
I think it's because God helps you and God is with you at all times. Is that what you do?
You mean you're saying there's something in the content that you think that that's the reason that we're doing it? Okay,
Right.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you. Anybody? Thank you for showing us, modeling how to say something very short and succinct. Anybody else have a suggestion of why I picked 121?
We've been saying it since October 7th.
We've been saying it since October 7th. And we say it so often when there's something difficult. When I get, yes, Sue,
This is where your help comes from.
where your help comes from. Yes. So that's what I think Lance said as well. Yes. So you're saying there's a reason that we recite 121 so often, and we're going to find it. But I want to tell you something. We often get, or I might get, something on social media that says this person is very ill, or their child is very ill, or their whatever. Please recite Tehillim for them. Now, there are Tehillim means Psalms. There are Tehillim that are specifically written for sick people, that are very specific, and the words really speak that. I believe 41 is one of them. It's possible we'll get to learn it. I don't know. But that's not the one that you're told to read. Why is it that we use 121 so often? Any thoughts? It's not a trick question, just want to say. You can keep it simple. Why do we recite 121 so often? I mean, I think part of it is that it does have universal themes about turning to God for help. I 100% agree. But here's another reason. People know it. People know it. It's easy to say. When you're asked to recite Tehillim where the words are hard, and believe me, many of the words are hard, it just doesn't feel quite as good. It's easier to say something that we're used to, that rolls off our tongue. And I want to point out already that the lexicon of Mizmor Kuf Kaf Aleph 121 is small. It doesn't use a lot of difficult, fancy words, and it also doesn't necessarily use a lot of hard words. It actually repeats similar words over and over and over again. So I think that, and of course, what Helen said, we have been saying it, again, those who have come to Shul or online, there's Zoom for our tefillot, except for Shabbat. If you are on at all, and if you go to almost any Shul, I don't know about other strains, I don't know about other denominations, I can only speak about Orthodoxy. But in Orthodox Shuls, in America, in Israel, around the world, we have been saying 121 nonstop, every morning service and afternoon service. Yes, Judy Stiglitz, what did you want to say?
To add that there's also a song, S-I-N-I, that makes it.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to get to that. If I have time, I actually would like to sing the whole thing to you. That S-I-N-I actually has other tunes to it, but I agree. That's a really good point. There are songs that I'm going to sing what Judy started singing, and raise your hand if you know it. S-I-N-I, El Hehari, raise your hand. Me'ayin yavo. Please raise your hand if you know it. Esa'enai. If you didn't raise your hand, that means you don't know it. El Hehari. Do you know it, Ellen? No, you don't know it. Okay, so that's what, thank you, Carol. A goodly number of people here know that song. It's a very old one. There's a newer one that people may know less, but it is one that people very often know because it's a very old song. So, and it's been around. It's kind of like singing Hine Matovu Manaim, that kind of a song. It's been around, that one, you know. So, or maybe you know also Havanagila, right? There are some songs that have been around, Havanagila. By the way, that one's been revived, but that has nothing to do with our song. There are other tunes for this because it is so well known. because the words are simple and repetitive. But yes, thank you for pointing that out, Judy. I didn't pick it because there are songs to it. I picked it because it's so well known and so, I mean, there's nothing that everybody knows. Maybe Psalm 23, everybody knows. Maybe you don't know this one, but after we learn it today, I hope that you will know it. And then if you ever hear it, if you're ever in shul, you'll be like, okay, I understand. This is a psalm that's very commonly read in times of trouble and distress. But we're going to learn a different take on it. We're going to do tapping into Tehillim. And I have a whole bunch of notes on this, as you know, if you attended any of my other classes. Okay, the first thing we need to do is actually read the psalm and kind of absorb it, because it's not exactly like the Purim story, which most of us, if not all of us, know, and you can really do the story verse by verse. That's the way I did it, more or less. We can't do it exactly that way in Tehillim, because Tehillim is a song. It is a song. When was it sung? Who knows?
By the Levium at the base of Mikdash?
Yes, by the Leviim, the Levites, in the Beit HaMikdash. Sorry for the Israeli correction on your, it's not a correction, it's just a different way of saying it. The Levites, the Leviim, that was their role, one of their roles in the Beit HaMikdash, in the temples. One of their roles, we'll just stick to that one, we don't have to go into the other ones, was to sing and to play musical instruments. And they definitely sang psalms. So if the psalms are songs, oh, I can't believe it, I didn't bring my psalm song. I can find it online. There's a woman from our community, Gaia Aronson, I think her name. Aronoff?
Yes.
Yeah, Aronoff, sorry, Aronoff, right? I didn't remember the name she uses. I know her husband's name. So Gaia wrote a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous book called
Yes.
Psalm Songs, which of course I meant to bring with me, and I left it at home. I have one upstairs in my office. And Psalm Song, she took, if I don't have time to find it today, I think it's also online. I'll read it for next time. She doesn't do an exact translation, but she took all 150 and did kind of a summary in beautiful lyrical words. So I hope I'll find it before we finish today's class. Thank you so much. Psalm Song, but they're all songs. So when something is a song or a poem, but we know them as songs, the word shir, hello Robert, the word shir in Hebrew can be poetry or song, but we know that the Leviim used musical instruments. So the Tehillim, or songs in general in the Tanakh, in the Bible, we just read the Song of the Sea, and for the Haftorah we read the Song of Devorah, of Deborah. They weren't so much about rhyming. Often I think that we think of a poem as rhyming. Obviously, you know that it's not always. By the way, who knows the very shortest poem ever written? It was written by Ogden Nash. So the title of the poem, you know it, Estelle? The title of the
I remember it, but I can't.
Okay, I'll tell you. My father, Al Shalom, taught this to me when I was a kid. I thought it was so funny. The name of the poem is On the Antiquity of Microbes. And the poem goes like this. Adam had 'em.
I remember that.
Yeah, very clever, very clever. The title is longer than the poem. But the truth is, it's a rhyme. So if it was just two words, it wouldn't feel like a poem. But Adam had 'em is a rhyme. But that's not how psalms/songs work in the Tanakh. Rather, they work on a metric, on cadence and metric and rhythm. I'm not an English teacher. I should ask my husband to join because he's an English teacher by profession, so he might know these. Maybe I'll consult with him from now going on. But it has to do with meters. And often the songs in the Torah, in the Tanakh, have what's called parallelism, hakbala. Makbil means parallel in Hebrew. And the parallelism is, for example, here I'll tell you, Ha'azinu. Ha'azinu is a poem. It is the next to last parsha in the Torah. It's right before Vizot HaBracha, which is the one we read on Simchat Torah. So I just want to show you what it looks like so you'll see. Just a moment. The Koren Siddur has it written similar to what's written in the Torah. except that I can't, here we go. Okay, so, here, I'm gonna spotlight myself so you can see it. So if you can see, do you see how it's written in columns? Everybody see that? That's because it's a shirah. That's because it's a poem, a song, and also, so I just wanted to quote something, but just so you know, also Shirat Hayam, which is the Song of the Sea, is also written in the same way. Well, I don't have it here. Okay, so the beginning of Ha'azinu, which is a shira, is Ha'azinu Hashamayim va'adabera, listen heaven and I will speak, v'tishma ha'aretz, and the land will hear imrei fi, what I say. So Ha'azin is from the word ozen, to listen is one way of saying to listen. V'tishma means and will hear. Shamayim is heaven, aretz is earth. I will speak, and then the last one is whatever my words are. So you see that that's a parallelism, and also the meter. Listen to how I say it. Hazinu I could sing it. Hazinu hashamayim v'adabera v'tishma ha'aretz imrei fi. Do you hear how they're similar in cadence, rhythm, and how long they are? So that's very commonly found, and we can look for things like that. Now, does everybody have Psalm 121 at your fingertips somewhere?
Question.
Everybody? Yeah, what, Judy?
Question. You were talking about the Levim. This is tangential, and if you don't want to answer it now and table it, it's okay. The question is about the use of music. Did they use music, play instruments on Shabbat? And what was okay for them to use music on Shabbat and not for us?
So that is extremely tangential and still very interesting, because I believe they were allowed to, which we are not allowed to. But that is for another discussion, and
Okay.
Lance says, okay. So maybe when we do 150, Lance, which is a singing one, then we can talk about it. Okay, I don't want to go there because we only have 33 minutes left, so we're not going to go there. Shir Lama'alo. Yes, something else? No. Okay, so I'm reading it in here. Everybody has a copy, right? Hebrew or English? Everybody good? No, you don't have one, Estelle? You don't have a Siddur?
Estelle,
have a-
look on your phone and put into Google Psalm 121. That's how I got it.
Well done, Ellen. Yep. And if you put in Safaria, it'll give you Hebrew and English. Excellent idea. Look on your phone while you're looking.
My phone, but I did get the English on my phone.
You got the English. Okay.
I'll listen. It's too much for me to figure it on my phone and get it.
Do you have a Bible?
I do.
So it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. Yeah. That's why I said before, I'm sorry if you missed that. It's in the Bible, in the third part. I'm going to start though. Shir LaMa'alot, a song for or of ascents. Now, ascent meaning not S-C-E-N-T smelling. Ascent means to go up. La'alot, aliyah. In the word ma'alot, you hear the word aliyah, to go up. Now, this is one of 15 Psalms. I just want to tell you, Estelle, it's in the middle third. There's Torah, Nevi'im. First is the Torah, the 5 books, then the prophets. After the prophets, it's the first one. Psalms are the first one in the third part, which is called Ketuvim, the scriptures. So keep looking or look on your index for Psalms. And we're on 121.
You're talking to a completely ignorant person.
No, but I explained it. Yeah, I understand that. That's why I'm telling you. The first part is the 5 books of Moses. The second part is the prophets, like Isaiah. You've heard of Isaiah and Jeremiah and all those, right?
Yes.
You'll see names on top. After that starts scriptures. Tanakh is for Ketuvim. And the first one is Tehillim, Psalms. And if you flip through, there are 150 Psalms, so you'll probably hit it at some point. Then just go to 121. And you'll put a sticker in or a marker for next time. Don't worry about it. You'll do it while you're listening. Okay. Shir LaMa'alot is one of 15. What's so interesting is that all the others are Shir HaMa'alot. Like when we sing Shir HaMa'alot before benching. People know that one? Right? Shir HaMa'alot b'shuv, that's one of the tunes for it. It's a simcha. It's a wedding tune. They're all called Shir HaMa'alot, the song of the ascents. This one is Shir LaMa'alot. So Some people who I listened to said first of all, we have no idea why they're called Shir Hamalot. And or some had a suggestion. Some said there is no specific reason. Everybody agreed it's a title, and that when we learn a psalm, we don't look at the title. We take off the title. It's just a title, and we don't have to learn it from the title. Somebody said, if you invited Rabbi Akiva to your dinner table, Rabbi Akiva, like the Rabbi Akiva, very ancient, one of the Tanaim. Wait, somebody's making. Sue, I'm just putting you on mute. And you said to him, do you know Shir LaMalot? And be like, what are you talking about? There are so many. But if you said, do you know Esai Nail Heharim? He'd be like, oh, that one? Yeah, I know that one. Okay, that's just a cute way of saying it. Although, honestly, there's only one that's Shir LaMalot. So really, he should know it. So maybe that wasn't a good example. Now, some people say, does anybody here know about the Shir HaMa'alot, why there's 15? Any thought, anybody heard anything about it?
The steps of the temple?
Nice, Elaine. So there is a teaching that based on, now David HaMelech, King David, let's say he wrote these, I don't know for sure. He lived, did you find it, Estelle?
Yeah, I found it.
Amazing, put in a marker. So he lived before the temple. And he and others wrote 150. By the way, some people say, the Jerusalem Talmud says there are only 147, based on 147 of years of Jacob's life. Don't know what the connection is, but that's what the Jerusalem Talmud says. The way that's cut down from 150 to 147 is that a few of them are put together because they flow better. Like 1 and 2 goes together. I marked them down, 42 and 43 and 116 and 117. So that's just a piece of trivia. We're not going to go into that right now. Just a piece of trivia. But the Psalm 92, okay, I'll go into that afterwards. I'm going to get to that. We're going to get to the days of the week. We're going to learn them. We're going to do the 7 days of the week, if that's what you're talking about. In any case, the Shir Malot, so some say that there were 15 steps. There were 15 steps going up to Har Habayit, to where you enter the wall around I don't know if it's called the wall, the kotel, the wall around the temple courtyard. There were 15 steps. By the way, they were not even. You imagine they should be, right? So you can run up the steps. They deliberately were not even. Long, short. So you couldn't run up the steps for decorum. Because when you run up to the temple, you should do it slowly. You should do it with decorum. You shouldn't run up. Oh my gosh, I'm late. No, you should be early. And you should go up slowly. And the long and short made it necessary to go up more modest, more, slowly with decorum. So what does the word ma'alot mean? It means to go up. We said that, right? Degree, yeah, right? Ma'alot in Hebrew means degrees, like degrees on a thermometer in modern Hebrew, but the truth is that's what happens with thermometers, right? They go up, they go down, so you're measuring the temperature. So that's not the reason that the psalm is called Shir HaMalot, because the temple came afterwards. So Elaine, it's actually the opposite, that some say that because there were 15 Shir HaMalot, therefore there are 15 steps going up to mimic it, right? So because if you look at the timing, it's the opposite. It can't be that he wrote Shir HaMa'alot because he wrote it before. So it can't be he did it based on the 15 steps. Okay. Continuing on, I want to say something. Oh, the Rashbam, one of our greater sages and commentaries, doesn't call this one Shir LaMa'alot. He actually writes Shir HaMa'alot, meaning that all 15 are Shir HaMa'alot. So we have different customs, different traditions for that. So it's not so important that it's La Ma'alot or Ha Ma'alot. Continuing on, let's just read it through, just so we know what we're talking about. Sue has some technical help here. And we welcome your technical help. We hope you can fix whatever it is. Esa einai el heharim. I will lift up my eyes. I'm just going to read it through, and then we're going to go back and parse it. I will lift my eyes, or I am lifting my eyes. I do lift my eyes. Esa means future. But when you speak future, it could mean this is what I am doing. I will lift my eyes, meaning I'm doing it now, to the hills. Me'ayin yavo ezri. Where will my help come from? So here's a key word, Ezri, my help. Ezer. Ezri, my help, Me'im Hashem, will come from God. Who is God? Osei Shemayim va'aretz, the creator of heaven and earth. Al yiten lamot raglecha. He, meaning God, will not let your foot stumble. Al yanum shomrecha. Your Al yanum shomrecha is he or one who guards you will not slumber. Yanum means to sleep, and namne means to doze. So, is everybody following the meter here that it's parallelism? Okay, great. Hine, and then it continues. Hine lo yanum v'lo yishan shomer Yisrael. This is even more so. It's like even more, it's a greater statement. Usually we use God. We don't use third person masculine in the shul because we don't like to exclude women. It's a little hard when I'm reading a psalm because Lo yanum v'lo yishan shomer Yisrael, the one, the guardian of Israel, will not slumber or sleep, or doze or sleep. Continuing, so this is another key word, shomer, by noticing that it comes up, one who guards you. Hashem shomrecha, God is your guardian. Hashem tzilecha al yad minecha, the Lord is your shadow or shade, not clear, of your right hand. Yomam Hashem, no, so this is shadow, maybe leads in, each pasuk is sort of leading into the next one. Yomam Hashem lo yekeka, during the day the sun shall not strike you, sunstroke. V'yarech balayla, and the moon at night. So some people think that people at the time thought ancient wisdom was that the night has its dangers, that maybe the moon could actually, there's a movie called Moonstruck, right? I think it had witches, so maybe that's what it came from. I never saw it, but I know there's a movie. Hashem yishmorcha, God will guard you or safeguard you mikol ra, from all evil. Yishmor et nafshecha, will guard your life. Nefesh means soul in modern Hebrew, but it doesn't mean soul in the Tanakh. It means your life. Ki hadam hu nefesh, because the blood is your life. Like that's where you get it. Hashem yishmor, look how many times yishmor comes up. Will guard seitcha, your goings. You're going out, uvoecha, and you're coming back. Me'ata, from now, va'ad olam, and forever. So just taking a breath and taking in, and again, many people here know it, so sometimes we don't think about the ones that we know. We just let them roll off our tongues. And many people here, this sounds really, really familiar, because you've been saying it, because you've heard it. Many people not. I hope it'll be familiar by the time we finish. But for many people, this feels very familiar. Okay. Just a moment. I listened to a few and read a whole bunch of commentaries, and some of these are my notes on my thoughts as well as theirs. And somebody suggested that every time we read a psalm, partly because, remember what we said, runs the gamut of human emotions. It's not written by the same person. We don't even know always who it's written by. We want to ask ourselves questions, and we will ask ourselves questions like this every time we read a psalm, I believe. What do the words mean? So we went into that. What do they mean in the context? What is the context? What motivated someone to compose this psalm, and then it was accepted into psalms? Like maybe there were lots and lots of songs that were, or poems that were written. They weren't all put into, codified into Tehillim. It can be that a person had a personal experience, and then by divine inspiration wrote this song. We believe divine inspiration. Why? Because otherwise, what's it doing in our Tanakh? It's put it into song form, and we have people I've read to you from the Velveteen Rabbi. So maybe if she was living at that time, one of her songs would have made it in. Gea's way of translating it, she also wrote it in Hebrew, which is interesting that she took the Hebrew and made it into different Hebrew. Or it could have been written specifically for the Leviim. So it's possible we will find one of the Psalms that we learn or more was not about a personal experience. It was just general, written for the Leviim. We may not know, we may know. And what is the structure of the chapter? We want to try to tap into the emotion. Is it suffering, jubilant, in a crisis, after a crisis, and reflection? Was it written by a group or an individual? What's the message of the chapter? And sometimes, not always, when and why is it used liturgically? So those are the questions we want to keep in the backs of our minds when we learn. And I'm going to have to move through at a bit of a fast pace unless people are okay with me dividing it into two parts if we don't finish it. But I knew that this would both be a deep dive as well as an intro into Tehillim. So we're going to see if we manage to finish it in 20 minutes. I want to ask people here, we've read it, you have it in front of you, Hebrew and or English. What is the tone? What, if you had to give one or two or three words, please do not elaborate because we don't have time. What would you say this is about? What emotion? What's the context? Something. Any thoughts? Alice, do you have a thought? I see you unmuted.
Yes, it's very comforting.
It's comforting?
Yes.
So it's comforting, I hear, and that's great, but I'm asking, what is the context of the person? Oh, the person is looking for comfort and feels comfort? Is that what you're saying? Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, sorry. I thought you were saying your own experience. Very good. So comfort,
No.
looking for comfort and receiving. Great. What else?
Desperation?
Aspiration?
Yes.
Oh, desperation. So it
Desperation.
sounds like the person is in trouble. Esai Nail Ha'arim, I lift my eyes to the hills, where will my help? So there is a desperation or crisis. Good. Anything else?
Yeah, that God is going to be with you no matter what.
Beautiful. Yep. So looking, desperation in crisis, and comfort that God will be with you. Beautiful. Felice. Yeah.
Beseeching. You wanna
Beseeching.
get-
Good. Yeah. Great. Okay.
One word.
Yeah. Go on. Did you want to say more?
No, I'm just saying one word, beseeching. You want
Beseeching.
something.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Beseeching. Beautiful. Okay. I want to go back to the beginning and say, I want to look, if you look in the third pasuk, there's a hint to what this person, what's the context, what many people see as the context of this particular psalm. It doesn't have to be why we use it today. Remember, we said today we use it because it's comforting, because people know it, because it's small lexicon. Let's put that aside. We're talking about the person who wrote it originally, whoever that was, if it was David or somebody else. So look on the third verse. Al yiten lamot raglecha. Do not let your foot stumble, and your guardian should not slumber. So what is any thoughts about what context this might be? Any thoughts? Does it spark any idea in your mind? And maybe going even further, that the sun will not strike you during the day. What could this be? What could be a context for this?
A funeral?
A funeral. That's interesting. Why? Why do you say that, Elaine? Oh, you're saying to the soul departing?
Yeah, I don't know why.
It seems to. Okay, hold that thought. Great. Carol, did you want to say something? I see you're
what
unmuted.
about going out to war?
Could be
before
going out to war, although there's nothing about war specifically. Okay, anybody else?
Yes.
Yeah, go on, Carol. Carol, you wanted to add?
Or a journey, maybe
A
taking a journey.
journey. Alice, what were you going to say? Karen's saying yes. Alice,
Yeah.
did you want to add? No. So yes, I want to say all of the, Judy Stiglitz. Judy, what?
Could it be leaving Egypt? Because Hashem protected us with the fire at night and with the
Nice.
and then with leaving and then
So it could be,
Wow.
although there's nothing about Egypt, and I think that there's many places where Egypt is mentioned, so it could be, but I think not all, but some of what people said here, maybe this person is literally going on a journey. And in fact, somebody suggested that at the time, remember when people went on a journey then, it was really fraught with danger. I want to say, I don't know if anybody here saw the landing of that plane in Toronto. Did anybody see that? Super
Yes.
scary.
Yes.
Right? That's not walking on your feet, but that bellied up, turned over, thank God, thank God, thank God. Blew up in flames, smoke, it was awful. And thank God, only 2 people were critically hurt. I don't know what that means, that they were critically hurt. They seem to be okay, they're stable. I mean, who knows what that means, but they hurt. I assume they were like orthopedic kind of, or concussion, I don't know. But thank God, like you could imagine, right? So plane is also, we've heard sadly lately about, issues with planes. It's a little scary for those of us who need to take a plane somewhere. If I want to visit my family in Israel, I've got to take a plane. So, but at the time, let's go back to when it was written. It was certainly written at the time or around David Melech or in that time. They didn't, people went out by foot. Maybe they had a horse, maybe they had a donkey. But in general, they went by foot. So maybe this person is leaving on journey, and maybe that's what people did. In fact, we have sources that tell us that people kind of, their friends stood around them or their family, and they recited this back and forth. So let's imagine that scene, that somebody's going on a journey. Today we have something called Tfilat HaDerech, which you could wish for somebody else or you wish it for yourself, the journey, the traveler's prayer. Anybody here say Tfilat HaDerech? It's a beautiful tefillah. I say it whenever I go somewhere that's far, when you go outside a city for a far trip or just where there's no inhabitants, say it on an airplane. It's actually, okay, so it's possible. Somebody said, I would call this the traveler's prayer. So let's look inside, and then I'm going to build on it. But let's start just understanding it as the traveler's prayer. So let's assume for a moment, because most people say this, they just disagree on what the journey is. So we're going to start with a basic journey that somebody is literally walking. And at the time, the only reason you would leave is either for business, or you would leave because getting a shidduch, finding a, or leaving to your new husband's home, or that you were in distress. So it's stressful. It was very stressful to go on a journey. So a person might say, there might be literal hills, or that person, and if I say he, that means she as well. So I'm sorry if I sometimes say he or she, but that person, let's call that person the traveler. The traveler knows that there are going to be hills on his way or on her way. There's going to be something, there's going to be some impediment. So I lift my eyes to the hill, or you could say, figuratively, I lift my eyes, I see hills in the distance. Where will my help come from? Who's going to help me if I have trouble along the way? So who's speaking in the first one? The traveler, right? Does that make sense? Let's imagine the traveler. And the second one, Ezri, my help. So the traveler is answering because it's first person. Me'im Hashem, from God, who makes heaven and earth. The very general, like God is the maker, creator of everything natural. This is about the natural. This is about the natural world. So of course, God is the one I would turn to. So somebody said, well, is it a rhetorical question? Why is he asking the question? So somebody suggested, and this goes to what Alice said, that the person wants to be comforted. So you know how sometimes when we're upset or sad or worried, we find something from our childhood or what somebody said to us kind of floats up in our minds and comforts us? So that's what somebody suggested in one of the commentaries, that maybe that person's, it's like something floated up in his or her mind and said, oh, wait a minute, there is somebody who's going to protect me. I'm so nervous, but God is going to be with me. That is who would help me, is God. Okay. Go on. Wait, who's? Judy, yeah.
It comes to mind. It almost sounds like a mother or a father sending their child off to battle, or just a parent blessing the child forever.
Are you saying this is the parent asking as opposed to the person, the traveler?
Parent blessing the child. Yes.
Okay. I hear that, meaning not the traveler. That's an interesting take, but rather the person who's nervous, sad, worried, anxious, upset that that person is leaving. That's a beautiful read as well. That's actually very original. Well done. So imagine the mother who's there and worried about her son, let's say, going off to war. Let's imagine that. It's very relevant today when we think of those in Israel. And like, my child is going off, wait, I'm lifting my eyes to the hills. Maybe the hills in Israel, or it just may be a way of saying looking up. But okay, my help will be from God. That's the only person I really can turn to. And then in that read, it fits very nicely that then that person turns to the person going out to war or on the journey and says, Al yiten lamot raglecha, that God should not let you stumble. Al yanum shamrecha, the person who guards you should not slumber. Beautiful, Judy, really beautifully done.
If I can add one point.
Yeah.
Bendita, who's the mother of hostage Avinatan Bendita Tirsa Or, she told him before he went into the tzava God should be with you. Everything should be well. Just make sure you don't become a hostage. That's her last words to him before he went into the tzava. And unfortunately, he did.
Wait, just don't think of as a hostage?
Don't become a hostage.
She said that.
Yeah. I couldn't share that.
As if he had any control over that. Okay. Just a minute.
I have a question.
Yeah. What's the question?
Why? Okay, I know it's poetic, but why do we have neither slumbers nor sleeps? What's the difference?
Well, so part of it is your answer. Slumber and sleep is poetic. I think the difference is linamnem, yanum is more of a dozing, and yishan is more of a is more. Rabotai, I'm teaching a class. You didn't know. No, you didn't know. It's okay. It's just a little loud. So yanum, it's two ways. First of all, it's poetic, so it's beautiful. Lo yanum velo yishan, God shouldn't slumber mean, I don't know what it is in English, because linamnem in Hebrew means to doze. Don't take any time off, God. Don't do a quick nap, and don't do a long nap, a long sleep. But more than that, I think it's the meter. It's keeping the cadence and the meter and the rhythm. Yeah, Phyllis.
In addition to all of the things that people have said about travel, I also kind of view it as just the possibility of any new challenge that somebody is going through and that they don't feel that they can do it on their own and that they need the support of God.
Yes, thank you, and please feel free to add as we go along. I'm not going to force us to finish 121 today. We're going to take it slower, otherwise I'll just feel like I'm rushing it, and it's really gorgeous. So next time we will finish 121 and go into 130, because we won't need a whole class for finishing it. So I love that idea, Phyllis. I love the idea, Judy. There's such beautiful ideas. Maybe anytime you're in calamity, any kind of journey. It could be a journey, I don't know, into your doctorate, a journey into marriage. Well, that feels a little harder. Maybe it's somebody going into, I don't want to say anybody looks at it that way, but you'll have maybe going into surgery. Just saying, it's not about me. I'm just giving examples from my life. I had to have foot surgery on a neuroma. And I was really nervous because I had a lot of pain before I went in. And I was, really nervous what would happen. And a good friend of mine who's also a Maharat graduate and an amazing, amazing chaplain was working in the hospital that day. And it wasn't open heart surgery. It wasn't, I don't know what, anything. But for me, your foot, it's what holds you and keeps you going. Everything starts from the foot. I'm working with exercise with a trainer, and he said to me, you got to strengthen your ankles, you got to strengthen your legs and your feet, because everything starts from the feet. And he's giving me these, different ankle exercises. I'm like, okay, they're tired. Can we move on? And he said, everything starts from your feet. If you did it every day, it'll help keep you strong. And I remember she used this psalm. And she said, that your foot, that shouldn't stumble. So that was physical, because I was doing foot surgery. But that's true in any journey. The foot could be, what would be the word for it, Phyllis? Like it's allegorical. No, it's like symbolizes, right? Your path. Whether it's your physical foot or the fact that you advance on your journey. I love that. These are just gorgeous. They're just such beautiful thoughts, which is why I love learning with this group, because I could just read it all by myself, but I wouldn't get all this beautiful. And I want to say that I hope next time you hear 121, you'll take what speaks to you from all this. Or if you're in a place where you feel you're on a journey, you might say it for yourself. Or if your relative, whatever, is going on a difficult, Judy, right? What Judy said, maybe you'll say it. I'm nervous, I'm worried, I'm upset. And Me'ayin yavo izri. And then you'll say to that person, I hope your leg or feet will not stumble. I don't know if there's a difference in Hebrew between foot and leg like there is in English. So I'm loving all these different interpretations. They're all just really, really, really beautiful and give so many different lenses on these psukim. Everybody with me? Somebody else want to say something? I'm not rushing, so take your time if you have something to say. I'd love to hear it. Okay. You know what? If we're doing that already, then I don't need to go back and read the whole thing again. Some people saw this as, because it's Shir HaMa'alot and there's 15 of them, as people making aliyah. People literally making aliyah. And if you look at the progression of the Shir HaMa'alot, you can actually see that it seems, I mean, you could interpret it. One is just getting to Eretz Yisrael. And this one is actually looking at the hills of Jerusalem, because, if you're going to Israel, you go to Jerusalem, right? It's kind of like the New Yorker. There's New York, and then there's, what was that, Chicago, and then Los Angeles. So in Israel, there's like Yerushalayim, and maybe Tel Aviv, and I don't know, Haifa or Meron, and down in Eilat, and everything else is so much smaller. But for Americans or for people from Chutz La'aretz, Jerusalem is like 90% of the map. So Harim, looking at the hills, means the hills of Jerusalem. And yearning, it's actually could be a song of yearning to get over these hills, because remember, Jerusalem is hilly. Anybody here been to Jerusalem?
Sure.
Most people have been to Jerusalem. So you may remember, yep, everybody. Okay, excellent. I don't know if anybody has not been, but a vast majority has been to Jerusalem, if not everybody. And there are hills leading in Harei Yerushalayim, the hills, the mountains of Yerushalayim, of Jerusalem. So Esai Nail Harim. So maybe that person is nervous, is worried. I've come so far. I want to get further. This is so beautiful. You literally brought me to Israel with this discussion.
So I have just two comments.
Yeah.
And that's because I've become more familiar with Tehillim since I've been saying it every day since the summer. But it always, throughout Tehillim, it says, Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha, your right.
Can you wait on that and mark it for yourself? Only because we haven't gotten to that pasuk. We won't get to it today. And when we get to it, I want you to add your comment. I just feel like it might get lost. So please mark it down for yourself, because we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, if you
don't, unless you think it's more relevant to what we just said, that's fine.
No.
Because I think there's a lot to say about.
Yeah, I did hear a shir where they compared 121 with 130 because we say both since October.
So next time, so if you have a few salient points, save them for next time, because we're going to do 121 and 130 next time. So it's perfect.
Great.
Okay. Since we don't have a lot of time left, and there are more things I want to say, I'm just going to sing for you Shir HaMa'alot, okay? Shir LaMa'alot, Esa Einai El Harim, Me'ayin Yavo Ezri, Ezri Me'im Hashem, Osei Shamayim Va'aretz, Al Yiten Lamot Raglecha, Al Yanum Shomrecha, הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל. השם שומרך, השם צילך, על יד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יככה, וירח בלילה. השם ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. Hashem yishmor tzeitka uvoecha me'ata v'ad olam, which continues right back into the beginning. Shir LaMa'alot. It's really one of my all-time favorite songs.
And I'm a big Yishai Rebo fan.
This was not Yishai Rebo. I learned it 25 years ago.
I know, but I do listen to him a lot, and so
we could play him also, but I do love singing it.
He is so good.
He is
so good.
Can I ask?
And then, of course, Shlomo Kalbach.
Yeah.
Can
Estelle,
I
last comment, and we'll go. Yeah.
I don't understand how one goes to the other, but I know after you eat dinner, you sing Shir HaMa'alot, and
that's what I said. Is that so? You missed that.
Melody.
Well, so maybe you maybe you didn't hear me. I said there are 15 of them.
Oh, I see.
And one of them is Shir Hamalot B'Shuv, or another tune for it. Shir Hamalot B'Shuv. You can put any tune to that one because the cadence is very Shir. I
But
said
is this
there are
the
15
same?
of them, Estelle.
Oh,
There are 15, so maybe you missed that at the beginning. It's okay. There are
no,
15.
I just didn't understand.
So there are 15 that start with Shir HaMa'alot. One
I
of them
see.
people know. Shir HaMa'alot b'shuv Adonai et shivat Zion hayinu kechomim. Azima leischa. Right, that's the one we sing before benching. That's the one you're talking about, Estelle, right? No, that's not the one you're talking
No,
about?
it's after you eat.
That's before
That's
benching. It's the same
benching,
thing.
right?
Oh,
Estelle, after you eat and before you say grace after meals is the same one.
Shir Hamala, da, 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 da. I don't know.
That's
put
it.
the
Shir
beautiful, right?
Hamalot b'shuv
Yeah,
Adonai.
that's the one.
It's the same one I was just singing, just a different tune.
Rabbanit, I just want to recommend, I bought this very recently. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Psalms that speak to you, a meaningful interlinear translation for our generation. I find
Send that to me, please. Maybe I'll
I
get that.
will. I'll take a picture of it. It's great.
Great.
I bought it in
Fantastic.
a couple of months ago.
Maybe I'll add it too. So
Yes.
Estelle, I want to tell you to look in your Bible or Tanakh, Psalm 126. Go look, just go to the next page, 126.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you see the words?
Oh, yes, I do. Oh,
That's it.
now,
That's the one. But there are 15 of them, but that's the one we sing before benching. Do you know what benching is? It's grace
yes,
after
yes.
meals.
That
So
was
it's the same thing after we eat, before we bench, same thing.
I
And
see.
it's not after we eat anything, it's only after we eat bread.
Oh,
After we wash and eat bread. If you just eat an apple, you don't say this afterwards. If you eat a cookie, you don't say this. If you eat pasta, but if you wash and say Al Natilat Yadayim Hamotzi Lechem Min Haaretz, then you say Birkat HaMazon, benching, and we proceed it, but only on Yontif and Shabbat, we proceed with this. During the week, we proceed with something else. This is the Shir HaMa'alot. It's one of 15. Look from 120 to 134, you'll see. There's 15 of them. And that was what I said, the 15 steps on the going up to the temple were maybe based on these 15 Shir HaMa'alot, so it's mimicking them. Does that put into context for you better? Maybe now you'll understand better the beginning of the class when I was prefacing it. Now you understand it, right?
certainly better. You're talking to somebody from complete ignorance, so
Well, I don't think you really have complete ignorance. You knew the other Shir HaMa'alot, and I'm teaching you. Look, I also didn't know there were 15 Shir HaMa'alot until I learned about it. I didn't know. How would you know? Until you learn. That's why you come to classes, to learn. It's okay. I disagree that you have complete ignorance. I disagree. When we tell ourselves something, it kind of sticks with us. So we need to tell ourselves we're learning more and more every day instead of saying complete ignorance. How's that? How's that for a switch?
Great.
Excellent. All right, my good friends, this was very meaningful for me. We only got through half, and we haven't even finished the first half. It might take the whole next class to do it, but I'll prepare 1:30 just in case. Please join if it's good for you. It was lovely having you come. It's very meaningful to me. I already have more meaning next time I recite or somebody else recites 121. It already feels more meaningful to me. So thank you for your comments, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Have